Hey everyone, here we are heading into the last week of this whirlwind summer semester, and y'all have been doing a great job. I know I already talked about this week in our class last week, but I should have posted a video also and I forgot, so I apologize for that, but I'm getting it on there now. So here's the overview of what we are doing this week, and everything we are doing is closely related or can easily be moved over to be incorporated into this essay. So it's not just busy work, it's not little tangents that we're working on. This is all stuff that will help us with this final essay. So I'm going to be posting this right here, but I'll start right there. Get back in here. And the first thing that we're going to be doing is watching this video of Malcolm Gladwell's talk on David and Goliath. And he goes back and he looks at the biblical story. He goes into the, the whole metaphor or the lore of this this story, and kind of unsettles it and looks at it in a different way. And it's really compelling. It's very interesting. And the style and the organization that he uses in his talk is the exact same kind of organization that we are going to be using in our final essay. And so I'm asking you to look at it. Look over. Here's a outline that just walks through all of the steps of his talk. And I want you to look over this as you watch the talk. And it's really entertaining. I think it's a really interesting TED Talk. And Malcolm Gladwell, he's a New York Times best-selling author. He's really engaging and interesting. But he takes time to do his introduction, which actually takes about 5 minutes, but he uses the bridge. He invites his audience in. He has a thesis. He also, and this is the thing that is so important when we write our essays, whether it's argumentative, or whether we are sharing an argument, or whether we are just informing our audience, we are going to be sharing certain points with our audience. And whenever we talk to an educated audience, or especially in academic situations, or even out there in our career and in our lives, when we want to share an opinion or when we want to share a point, that point is going to be so much more effective if we can back it up with evidence, if we can back it up with some credible voices and some research and some data, some information from scholars that is going to just boost our point in our argument or our information. And so we need to get into that habit, and that is the organization. That's kind of the pattern of this type of academic writing, is we're going to share our points. And remember, these sources that we are using, these 4 sources, they're our backup. They're not making the argument for us, or they're not sharing the information for us. They're our backup. And so our voice needs to be paramount. Our voice is the most important voice in our essay. So we need to explain what these points are. We need to share our points and then use these sources to back them up. So every paragraph, every section needs to open with our voice. Even if we got our points from the sources, that's absolutely fine. They're now ours. We now need to take ownership of them. And we are going to share our points, just like here. We're going to share our points, and then we're going to bring in the evidence. And then after we bring in the evidence, and the evidence can be short quotes, but mainly paraphrasing, data information, things from the sources. And then we're going to explain that, explain the connection, just like Malcolm Gladwell does here, and then we're going to move to the next point. But look over what he does here, because in the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the same thing with our plan. So writing out an outline is really helpful. It's really a good practice in helping us organize our ideas and put them in a logical order and kind of create this blueprint for our essay. And I have here, this is a template. You can just copy and paste this template and use this template if you like, but be sure to add in bullet points of information from your specific plans. All right, so what's going to be your tentative thesis? How are you going to open, first of all? What's going to be your tentative thesis? And then what are your points? I have 4 listed here, but you could have, fewer that you want to elaborate on. You can have more, but make sure that you bring in the points, the evidence from source. And I'm going to add a little bit. Now that I'm looking at this here, I don't have the explanation included here, but I'm going to add that in. But make sure that you provide evidence, and then you explain that evidence so your audience understands what that evidence has to do with your point and how it connects with the thesis. And then your conclusion, okay? So this is going to be really helpful. And get that in, I think that's due today, but get that in as soon as possible. The next things I have here are just kind of helps. You know, as we look over our drafts and our rough drafts, we're going to be polishing those up, okay? And revision is not correcting our paper. Revision is a really important part of the writing process, where we look at our ugly writing, we look at our drafts, and we see how we can improve them, how we can make them, our ideas, more clear, how we can make them more accessible to our audience. This is a really great video on that. And it also has a little bit of a copy of the rubric, which I'm going to talk about more later on. This finally is just simply a help also on formatting that works cited page. There are some tricks and some tips of using Word to help format this page, and I just share it here. It's just a really short video that I thought might be helpful. And then finally, the only thing that we have to, oh, sorry, we do have an MLA quiz. This is an open book, open canvas, open handout, open everything. It shouldn't take too long. You can take it as often as you want, but it's just to remind us how we are going to be citing these sources, because every time we quote, but every time we paraphrase or refer to or include an idea from one of the sources, we need to cite that source so our audience always knows where the information comes from. That actually boosts our credibility as a writer by bringing in credible sources and citing them. And so that's going to be due on the 20th. And then finally, by Saturday night, we have the final submission page for our final essay. Make sure that you look over this rubric. This is exactly what I'm going to be looking for. So if you look over this and kind of have your essay in hand and kind of do a little bit of self-assessment or self-grading, or as kind of like a checklist to make sure that you have everything included in your essay that I'm going to be looking at. All right? Again, I know I ran through that quick. If you want to talk Thursday or Tuesday afternoon during Zoom office hours or any other time, you let me know. Send me any kind of questions you might have through the Canvas inbox. Good luck this week. You're doing great, and I hope you have a great week. Okay, bye-bye.